in working with data is creating a system to save data from RAM into long-term storage so it can be loaded back into RAM and processed at a later time. Now, there are thousands of different file formats that allow us to take structured data, write it to storage, and then read it again. Wouldn't it be great if we could do the same thing with our classes so we could save their state and then restore them to the same state? Most programming languages provide some kind of support to do this, and PHP is no exception. In this video, we'll be discussing how to serialize and unserialize our objects in PHP. Hello developers, and welcome to the PHP Architect channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Scott Keck-Warren, and on this channel we discuss a wide variety of topics related to the PHP ecosystem. Make sure you subscribe so you can get our latest videos when they're published, and make sure you follow me at Scott Keck-Warren on phpc.social. The process of serialization is converting a data structure or object into a string representation of that data structure or object. It can then be stored or transmitted. And we can also save the string to a file, database, cache, or even send it over a network connection easily. The process of unserialization is the opposite, where we take a string representation of an object and recreate that object. PHP provides built-in support for these operations using the serialize and unserialize functions to serialize and unserialize our classes respectively. Let's work through a quick example of how to serialize a user class. We're going to keep it simple and only have the user's name and email address. This will keep our example small and easy to read, but the number of properties isn't a limiting factor in the real world. This is our example user class. Now, to demonstrate the serialization, we'll initialize an instance of our class for our user. Then we'll use the serialize function on our instance. Now we have a serialized version of our user class. Just looking at it, you might be able to see what it's doing, and that's because the serialization format in PHP is fairly simple. The serialized string is comprised of a series of data types and their values separated by a colon. For example, a serialized string is s:5:Scott, indicating that it's a 5-character length string followed by its value. Not included in our example is an integer with an I and then its value like I:10. Then to unserialize the data, we can just pass the output from serialize into unserialize. Here's an example that does that. Notice that it's an instance of our class and not something like the standard class. This means we can easily unserialize our string to an instance of our class and can use functions inside of that class like always. One of the downsides to the built-in serialize and unserialize logic is that it exports all of the properties of the class. This might not be exactly what we want. For example, we might have a password property in our user class. Now obviously we don't want to be leaking our users' passwords, but if we serialize this class, we'll get the password right inside of the serialized string. Thankfully, PHP provides some magic methods to prevent this kind of headache. Magic methods are special methods we can define in our classes that will override PHP's default behavior when certain actions are performed on an object. Magic methods start with 2 underscores, and you're likely very aware of the __ construct magic method. In this case, we're going to be looking at the __ serialize function. This function returns an array containing the items that we want to have serialized. An option is to only export the properties that we can have in the serialized version. We could also encrypt any of the values we want to keep secure. Now, the downside to this is that we've lost some information. Either way we do it. We've either completely lost the value or it's encrypted. Thankfully, there's another magic method called the __ unserialize function that allows us to manually unserialize the class. This way we can add in the missing data. We can also do other actions inside the __ unserialize function, like reconnecting to the database or creating other items that were discarded when we serialize the class. More after this word from our sponsors.
When you're in production, 1,000 things can go wrong. You could deploy a bug in your latest release. Your background jobs can silently fail. Someone could trip over the network cable at your data center, and this all comes back to you. You need to know when bad things happen and be able to respond to them quickly. That's why we built Honeybadger. It's easy to install Honeybadger in your back-end applications and front-end JavaScript. It only takes a few minutes of configuration and you'll have monitoring done. That's because we hook into popular web frameworks, job systems, and the browser, so that when any of them crash, we can automatically let you know. We ping your application from our global fleet of servers to let you know about problems with connectivity, latency, and SSL certificates, and we monitor your recurring jobs to see if any of them stop recurring. When there's a problem, we alert your team using the tools you already use. We can create issues in GitHub, Jira, and other issue trackers, and send notifications via Slack, PagerDuty, or other channels. When you click through, you'll be taken to detailed information on the error. You'll see things like request parameters, headers, user information, and the backtrace. Click on any line of the backtrace to view it in GitHub, Bitbucket, or your local editor. When you fix a problem, just mark it resolved and follow up with the affected user. That's Honeybadger. We're the monitoring tool for web developers who'd rather be, well, developing.
Now, most of us should be using at least PHP 8.0 at this point, but we have to have a brief discussion about version support of serialization in PHP. __serialize and __unserialize were both added in PHP 7.4. Before this, there were two ways to provide the same functionality. The first is that we could have an __sleep and an __wake functions. We're mentioning them because you might still be supporting them in your current code base. The interesting thing about the __sleep and __wake functions is that to provide backwards compatibility, we can have an __sleep, __wake up, __serialize, and __unserialize functions inside the same class. If we're using a version of PHP that supports the __sleep and __wake up functions, they will be used. But if we're using a version that uses the __serialize and the __unserialize functions, they'll be used instead. This provides backwards compatibility because the older versions of the language don't know about the newer functions. Cool, isn't it? The second way to provide this is by implementing the serializable interface. This provides an interface for us to implement that tells PHP that we're defining our own serialize and unserialize functions. Note the lack of the underscores. This interface is also deprecated. As of PHP 8.1.0, if our class implements the serializable interface, but doesn't implement __serialize and __unserialize, it will generate a deprecation warning. The long and the short of it is that if you currently have a class that uses the serializable interface, the __sleep, or the __wake functions, they should quickly be replaced with __serialize and __unserialize as soon as possible. Now, as we've seen, serialization is super powerful, but that power comes with the potential to mess up our data. We should never, ever trust a string we receive from the outside world and unserialize it. Ideally, if we're serializing and then later unserializing some data, it should never leave our digitally secure perimeter because we just can't trust it. I once did a code review for a change, and part of the change required us to keep track of a state, but not in a database. The developer wrote the code, passed a serialized string to the user, and then had them send it back. I was easily able to alter the string so it would bypass the billing phase of the process. As a brief recap on serialization. Serialization converts an object to a string. Unserialization converts a string to an object. PHP has built-in support. Magic methods provide helpers for our objects to control the process. I hope you enjoyed our video. If so, make sure you subscribe, comment, share, and like, as it does help others find us. Are there topics you would like to see us cover? Let us know in the comments below, or send me a message on phpc.social @ScottKeckWarren. We would love to hear how we can help you, and it always brightens my day when I hear from a fan. This is Scott Keck-Warren for the PHP Architect channel signing off, and reminding you to keep watching, keep coding, and keep reading.